Hey there, baseball fans. Nathan Rohde and Shooter Hunt here with the latest episode of Coffee and Curveballs. Shooter, we've moved on to the ACC in our look at the 2020 recruiting classes. We've done the Atlantic Division, so next up we've got the Coastal Division.
Yeah, we're going to be getting after the Coastal, Tobacco Road. We're going down to Powers in Miami, Georgia Tech. Let's get after it.
No doubt. So starting off, you mentioned Tobacco Road. Let's look at the Duke Blue Devils, and they've got Jordan Walker as their top guy, one of two in the top 100 for us in the high school rankings. The number one guy being Jordan Walker, a third baseman out of Georgia, can absolutely rake. Physical specimen, walks on the field, and you're like, yes, please. So I think Duke is like, we love this guy. There's a reason why we recruited him, but chances are we might not be getting him at this point. Obviously Duke with the academics, certainly has that pull to it, but they've lost guys like this in the past, and I think they might be pretty resigned to that fact for him.
Yeah, I feel like not only the academics, but the basketball too is a huge draw for kids to get there. But the baseball has really kicked in. Super regional last year. They're continuing to build big things there. Huge fan of Walker, but that helium has a chance in Georgia to really carry him into the draft.
Yeah, it certainly does. Another guy with a lot of helium potential that they might be sweating out a little bit, but I think is more of kind of an on-the-fence guy. Depends on how the spring goes, of course. But that's Colin Bosley Smith, a right-hander from Wilson High School in Virginia. That's in the D.C. area. I saw him in the fall for the first time. Jerry Schenk was giving him rave reviews to me, said this guy's pretty good. I like him a lot. I saw him in the fall. I agree with Jerry. He's pretty good. It's an athletic righty. He's got feel for three pitches. There's more to come in that fastball. He can spin the breaking ball, feel for a changeup. So come springtime, if he makes a jump, Blue Devils are going to be a little worried about that one.
Yeah, and a couple of the bigger guys who I'll call the Bash brothers for almost if you think of Mighty Ducks terms here, but Luke Storm and Alex Stone, Jersey and Pennsylvania, they play on the Diamond Jacks team, really talented club up there in Jersey in the Northeast. But two physical bats. Storm's a little bit ahead right now. Corner guy, potential third base, probably a first baseman, but a middle of the order lockdown. Stone's similar. Catcher, big physical kid. Adam Butcher, another New Jersey kid in the low 90s as a right-hander. And then Luke Fox, a lefty, who I really like out of Wisconsin.
Excellent. Heading down Interstate 85 into the state of Georgia, we got the Yellow Jackets with Georgia Tech. Their top recruit, the only one being in the top 100 right now, is Kevin Pareda, catcher at a Loyola High School in California. This guy had probably one of the better summers of anybody, just performance-wise. Everywhere we saw him, he just absolutely raked. Starting with the tournament in California that we were at, that was hosted in Irvine and surrounding areas, all the way through to area code games. Good defender behind the plate, but that right-handed stick is a pretty good one.
Absolutely. Nice I-85 shot out there too, Rhodey. But Pareda had a huge jump the last 16 to 18 months where, again and again, we're going to talk about these SoCal kids are going to get seen. Mm-hmm. I think he's one that they're going to really sweat out. Although Georgia Tech's quickly become catcher's U the last 30 years or so. They keep producing high-round picks. So it might be hard for him to look away from that. Marquise Grissom Jr., right-hander in the low 90s. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot more in the tank. He could catch some helium throughout the draft process. I think he's the birthday guy, so potential for him to jump as well.
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of upside there, too. And then Jake DeLeo out of the Northeast, Connecticut, was at area code games, got some tools, a little bit raw, but there's bat speed, strength, foot speed. So obviously a guy Georgia Tech would like to get on campus.
Yeah, really like what DeLeo's about. Saw him last year at the Pro Case in New England. I mean, that athleticism's unreal. Another guy, physical, two-way potential, Brad Winkowski, who started in Tennessee, he's now in the state of Georgia. It's arm strength on the mound, it's some power at the plate. He's going to have a chance to do both potentially there, which will help this class as a whole.
Excellent. Let's head down to the U now with the Hurricanes of Miami. This is a pretty stacked class, lots of talent in it. We've got 6 guys in the top 100, starting off with Alejandro Rosario and Victor Maderos, both right-handers. Rosario has that hickey of being a little undersized, but it's electric stuff on the mound, so who knows what could happen with him. But I'm sure Miami's probably going to sweat him out, but might think that they have a chance of getting him. Maderos, a more physical guy, a little bit more prototypical build, but it's got pretty good stuff, can spin a breaking ball. Mm-hmm. I really like Carlos Perez. Quiet receiver behind the plate, just everything about his defense is pretty solid, and then he can absolutely hit too.
Yeah, when I talk about this class, those top two guys are obvious, big power arm right-handers. But I'd say Carlos Perez is the key here.
Yeah.
You want to have that catcher, that captain to lead the squad. He has that type of makeup where he can come in and make a difference over 3 years and really expand himself. Yohani Morales, who had up and down summer, but the talent level is there. I think they may sweat out some of that throughout the draft, but you can get a guy like that on into the program and develop him. He has top 10 pick potential over those next 3 years while on campus.
Certainly does. And it's worth mentioning Rosario as well as right-hander Carlos Rodriguez, who also has electric stuff, are reclasses from 21 to 20. So guys that Miami obviously latched onto pretty early, and they might be able to get them early onto campus. So we'll see how things play out there. But
yeah, lots of depth in this class because it goes on more than those guys. We'll talk about that on the podcast.
Yeah, we certainly will. So we talked about Duke a minute ago. Let's look at the other side of that Tobacco Road rivalry with UNC. North Carolina has 3 guys in the top 100. Shooter, you and I were talking about this. There definitely is some draft risk with this class, but I think that this class has a potential of completely showing up on campus. UNC has shown the ability to get some of their recruits to campus and hold on to them, and I think with this class they certainly have a chance of doing that. Liam Norris is the top guy, left-hander, right down the street from me, same high school as Jordan Adams, so he's been seen a few times by scouts. But he can really spin it. He's got some arm strength in there. Strike pitch for him has been, kind of comes and goes, which is going to be, the detractor for scouts. But being a physical lefty with the ability to spin it, I'm sure UNC is kind of sweating that one.
Yeah, definitely going to sweat it, but Coach Gaines going to do a great job with him if he makes it to campus. It's hard to rule out the electricity that he can bring there and that his ceiling is high enough to get to. Max Carlson and Matt Horvath, 2 Minnesota kids that we've been on since day one. I remember seeing them at their first event and how good they were there. Carlson, the brother of former, I believe he's a second round pick. Sam Carlson out of Minnesota, but it's 3 pitches for strikes, up into the low 90s. It has starter potential there. Matt Horvath, who dominated as the MVP at our future games a few years back. The athleticism's real. He's had some freak injuries on the field the last couple of years that kind of slowed down the progression, but he's at IMG Academy. He's going to get a lot of work in this next year. He could be a draft helium guy, but I think he gets to campus and he just looks the part of a guy who's going to excel at Chapel Hill.
And then I like Jack Rydell out of Texas. I know you do as well, Shooter, but he's an infielder that could probably play multiple infield spots. Really, whatever he brings you with defense is icing on the cake because he can really swing it at the plate too.
Oh, absolutely. Huge Rydell fan. I think he's going to have a great college career as a left-handed hitter. Tanner Quick, another Texas kid, a lot to work with on the mound. Cannon Pickle, big, strong-arm kid from North Carolina who could really make a jump in the program. I'm sure he'll get some draft looks throughout this year. And then Harold Call, a New England kid, can really pick it at shortstop. I love this class, and I think it'll challenge a lot of the classes across the country, and eventually these guys will really help out continuing the runs to the College World Series that the Tar Heels have been getting.
Certainly so. So now we got Pittsburgh. We talked about Notre Dame just yesterday, and Pittsburgh also going through that transition with a coaching change and playing catch up a little bit on the recruiting trail. So nobody ranked in the top 500 right now, but it doesn't mean that they have talent. They don't have talent coming in.
Oh no, Jackson Finney, a catcher from Massachusetts, another guy I saw at the New England Pro Case. He was uncommitted then. Loved him there. And I didn't think he'd be uncommitted for long. He ended up choosing Pitt, which is great for them. Can really do it behind the plate. Middle of the order potential. Powerful bat from the right side. Really big fan of his. Tommy Tavares, shortstop from Brooklyn, Grand Street Campus High School. Saw him out at the underclass area codes. He's the type of guy, the more you see him, the toughness that he brings to the field is what I love about him. And you need that to be at Pitt, competing in a cold weather state against ACC teams. You got to have some toughness like he'll bring.
Yeah, you certainly do. Now we had to look at the Cavaliers and the University of Virginia. They got 2 guys in the top 100 as of right now. There's a caveat to this in that we expect Nate Savino to enroll early and be on campus. For now, he's in the rankings because he's still in high school. Crazier things have happened, so we'll stick to that until he's actually on campus. But obviously, if they get him, that's a huge win for the Cavaliers because this guy could easily be a top 5 pick in the draft out of high school.
I mean, sure, you're looking at a guy with the potential to be a 1-1 as a lefty with that profile. But Drew Dickinson, new pitching coach there in Charlottesville, will be getting a nice haul in this class because he's not alone. Jake Berry, real tall basketball player who just had some injury issues, has really grown and kind of come back from them to have a good fall. Alex Green, a guy who's kind of be up and down as a two-way. We'll see him at the Super 60. Love the athleticism. I think it clicks while on campus. And who's going to be catching them? Kyle Teal, who's one of my personal favorites in this class.
Yeah.
He's one of the top hitters, can really hit the baseball. He's a baseball lifer type. He just eats it up, can play any position. But he's going to be one that I think they may sweat out a little bit too.
Yeah, he's going to be the linchpin for them. I know he's well liked by scouts. It's going to come down to whether or not he wants to sign, what his number is. UVA has done well to get some of those guys on campus, each year, but maybe this year that's Savino and, they don't get Teal, but we'll see what happens. But obviously a very strong class for the Cavaliers coming in. But wrapping up the ACC Coastal Division, we have the rivals of UVA in the Hokies of Virginia Tech, who have three guys in the top 500, starting with outfielder Jack Hurley out of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, big fan of Jack Hurley. He's going to really stamp his time in Blacksburg at the top of that lineup. The rest of the schools are going to hate facing Jack Hurley over time. Just gives a great at bat. He can run. Just a really nice player. Garrick Ebel, they picked up kind of late. He's from that Baylor school in Tennessee, so he's going to get good instruction. He's going to come in ready to play. Sam Tackett, who I've seen the last 3-4 years. Chris Fuller in Kentucky. Loves this kid. It's just the athleticism. Huge metrics, big exit velo, big arm speed. They're going to find a place for his athleticism somewhere on the field. Grant Umberger, big, strong left-hander. I actually saw him throw a no-hitter a couple years ago. But 6'4", 210, physical guy to develop. And then, Rody, they're actually Virginia Tech, big rivals, and twins, the Ritchie brothers, actually separate schools. Jackson Ritchie at Virginia Tech and Reese Ritchie at UVA.
That's a great storyline right there. So that'll certainly be fun to keep an eye on. But that does it for the ACC Coastal Division. Be sure to head to prepbaseballreport.com where we'll have a podcast of the entire ACC where we'll be able to go into more depth. But until then, we hope you all have a great holiday weekend. And as always, for Shooter Hunt, I'm Nathan Rohde. This was Coffee and Curveballs. And until next time, we'll see you guys at the ballpark.